Hiya. Good morning. I am Shaggy. I am Philalitea. And I'm going to get back to my tradition of trying new things. So, I spent yesterday live. Made some shorts. Made some shorts the day before. I'm homeless. Now, see, I need this. I need it in a different way than what you understand. I need the creative outlet. I don't need the success. Whether this succeeds or doesn't succeed doesn't really matter, because you specifically have taken so long to heed the call. Because if I show up on your dashboard in your recommended whatever, if I show up in your life, it's because God put me there. And it's because God is calling on you to do something, and you know it, and you need help. And I'm right here. And I am technically free. Technically free. But see, you don't understand how gig economies work. So I have to constantly remind you that this isn't free for me. It's not free for me. And see, the reason you have to pay a ticket price to see a band, but the band gets paid in exposure, is because you aren't paying the band. You are paying the venue. You are paying the venue to see the band. Those are different things. You have to understand those are different things. If you don't understand those are different things, you need to start over at the beginning of your understanding. And see, that's... You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear that you got to start over. You've made a flaw, and you have a flawed understanding. You need to go back and begin at the beginning to find what you're getting wrong. It's mathematics, folks. See, we're different. We are different. I was raised in grinding poverty and soul-crushing abuse. You know, there was never once that my parents loved me. Never once. But here I am. It's inescapable that here I am. It's unavoidable. It's warm today. So being here as I am, I have to do something. And so this is a conclusion to which I don't think you've come yet. And I can say that I can say that because these gaming apps that pay you to play games, they're taking advantage of the fact that you're not doing anything, but you understand that you should probably be making more money than what you are. You should probably be spending more of your time earning. And now, a child's intellect and a child's understanding of economies and why we have jobs and what productivity is that doing anything that earns money is productive. Your mother tells you, go do something productive, and you hear, go earn money. And it's like, okay, fine, that's a working definition for a child. But if you never revisit your childhood, childish, immature, you understand, if you never revisit your immature understandings, if you never revisit the things that you learned as a child with adult eyes and an adult ability to abstract what you've learned into new environments and new situations, which is called learning, folks. That's what learning is. Then what's the point in your being? You all know you lack purpose. That's why you come here. You don't even know it. That the lack of purpose is why you come here, but you come here because you lack purpose. And you know that you lack purpose. I can help. We make our own purpose. And my purpose, let me just be very clear. I figured this out very young. I threw myself from a tree in kindergarten. And then I realized on the way down, oh, I'm not going to survive this. And then I did. Shouldn't have. Did. And I went, okay, so preserving my life is order number 1. And now that I've preserved my life, now that I'm big enough, smart enough to realize that, oh, I need to preserve my life. I need to be smart and I need to preserve my life. That meant that I needed to figure out the skills that adults have to be old. How did you get to be old? How did you preserve your life long enough to be old? And so you talk to old people and you listen and it became very clear by first grade to me. It became very clear that my education was my responsibility. Nobody was giving me the answers to the tests. Nobody was going to make school easy for me. Now, school was easy for me because I'm very smart. In fact, my straight A's were resented by, my parents put a reward on it. You get a dollar amount per letter grade. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to put, I don't remember what it was. It was absurd. They made the A too much money, but they couldn't afford. The point is they couldn't afford straight A's. But you tell me you're going to pay me $15 to get straight A's, and this is relevant to the gaming grinding apps. You tell me you're going to give me 50 cents to get to level 15. Give me my 50 cents when I hit level 15. Don't fucking lie to me, right? Well, my parents did that same thing. By second grade, no, that's not true. By fourth grade, that's well, no, that is true. By second grade, that system had dried up, and the reason it had dried up is because my brother was born the year before my kindergarten, and for whatever reason, they let it be okay that his greatest joy in life was destroying all of my favorite things, and that's a very real pattern in his life. Continues to be a pattern in his life. So if you didn't have, especially much younger siblings, and you haven't paid attention to the children around you, probably because you're an only child. And onlys, parents, stop having onlys. Stop having onlys. Onlys come out fucking narcissistic as a trait, personality. Not a personality trait, as a trait, personality. That is their primary character trait, onlys. They just assume that once they walk out into the wider world that everyone is their parents. Stop doing that shit. Stop being so fucking French. And I'm serious. If you can only have one biologically, adopt. Adoption? If you can afford one child, you can afford two children. If you can two children, if you can afford two children, you can afford to foster and adopt. And if you're not, you're part of the problem. I'm serious. I am serious. One of the reasons I don't have children is because the women that have known me know that about me. For every child born into this world, there are something like 5 children that go unloved. That's just not acceptable or fair. And I don't care that you get to look at my dandruff. Deal with it. I'm doing stuff, and this is the most convenient way for both of us for me to mount this camera so that I'm not constantly fiddling with it. This is an audio experience. I can't post audio. I can't post MP3 files directly to YouTube anymore. You understand that your inability to even attempt to sympathize with me, a person who lets you see how he lives, is a narcissism trait, personality, right? Your inability to sympathize with someone that you can see with your eyeballs means your brain doesn't function properly. It means there are areas of your brain that you've allowed to go unstimulated for so long they've died. It means that on some level you're a psychic vampire. So I'm not going to talk about all that shit I was just talking about. Because that's not what I had planned to talk about. That's not what's on my heart to talk about. What's on my heart to talk about is that I spent yesterday morning prophesying. I spent this weekend prophesying, making videos, working, generating no money. And when I was done yesterday and I stepped out of my tent, I felt asymptotic with God. I felt so close, so near. And then for the rest of the day, just periodically I felt cloaked in God. Just so close. Just hovering. And as I entered my tent last night, and as I learned that I didn't accidentally burn my tent down in the middle of the day, just so close, just hovering so close over me. And in the past, when that has happened to me, something awful has happened. The day my tent had a hole in it, I felt cloaked. And then I came home and there was a hole in my tent. And so that means that God is protecting me from some evil, working on me to protect me from some great harm to me. And then I woke up and I felt it again, so close. I lay in the tent last night and I fell asleep listening to the wind rage. That's the goddess. So something is coming, because the last time the wind raged, the world froze. The last time I lay here and I listened to the goddess scream, the world froze. And so this isn't over. It seems over, but it's not over. And that's omen and oracle for me. You have to understand that once it gets warm, it's going to be time for me to move. Coles is going to want me to move, but more importantly, I'm going to have to clean all of this wet out of the tent, which means I'm going to have to throw a bunch of these blankets. I'm going to have to throw this pad away, which means that I'm not going to be able to afford to live in this tent come spring, which means that you're going to force me into the shelter, which means that I'm going to be very upset with the internet. And I'm going to be willing to lash out once it gets warm. So you want it, if you want this, you want it, and you don't want to help me, you want it to stay cold as long as possible. But I woke up this morning, and someone else had unsubbed. Good riddance. Not goodbye. Not God be with you. Good riddance. I've rid myself of a liar. I am not here for pity. I'm working hard. My community recognizes it. The people around me, the women at Dollar Tree, the women at Christ's Table. Hey, even that guy at Christ's Table that I have been talking shit about, even he said hey to me yesterday. And he made me the first of the hot chocolate. And then he went and passed it around the room. So even people who don't want to like me. So what's your fucking deal? What's your fucking deal? You subbed because you liked something, so what, do you not like how critical I am of you? Well, get the fuck over it. You're not. If you were as critical of you as I am, you would find the things I'm saying funny. Because you would be able to up the ante. You'd be able to play the game. But I tell you, you're soft and you run. I tell you, you're a coward and you tremble. Because all you know is blog. Unsub. Don't show me more of this. That's all you know. No. No, I'm going to ride all of this out for as long as I can. Because if I don't, none of you will. I died on Friday. And I told you I died on Friday. Something like 50 people watched my I'm sick as a dog video. Not a single get well soon. Not a single hope you're doing all right. Not a one. That's why I got sick. And that's why I'm not getting a job. Deal. Cope. Yeah, it's a bummer because, that girl, one of the girls at Dollar Tree would let me take her out. She'd let me take her out because she'd trust me to be a gentleman. And that I watch you middle-class men. I watch you. I've never been one of you. I've always been poor. And so I watch you. I watch your behaviors. Because your behaviors are normative social behaviors. The way you behave, middle-class men, is the way women want men to behave. I watch you. I watch you in public. And all of your women are disappointed. All of your women, I watch you, and your women watch and fantasize about me. That's not even a challenge. You couldn't rise to it if it were. If I were challenging you to keep your woman, you couldn't rise to it. I've probably already fucked her. I'm not even joking. I spent the years after my heart was broken for the 5th consecutive time. Is that right? 4th consecutive time. I said, fuck it. These dudes want to fuck my girl. I'm just gonna fuck whatever girl makes it available. If they're all sluts, and that's not a conclusion, that's a social experiment, because again, I realized that I had to do my education. There was no book that was going to contain the information that I sought. I was going to have to learn. So if every woman that I'd loved was a slut and a cheater, a liar, and that meant that from my perspective, all women were, because my mother was a slut, a cheater, and a liar. My mother got fired from a Walmart for turning tricks in the parking lot for money to buy meth. You think you had a fucked up childhood because you walked in on your parents making out once. Imagine going to high school and knowing that somewhere out there, someone's parent, someone of your class body knows that your mom's an actual fucking whore, while Eminem's in the closet is only maybe 2 years old. Give me a fucking break. I have never had friends. My parents made sure of that, because they didn't want my contemporaries' parents talking about them. They didn't want to have to meet other kids, even other poor kids' parents, and realize just how shit of a job they really were doing. They didn't want to have to confront anything. And so when I see that in other people, I recognize it instantly for what it is, because I grew up around it. Do you know what it's like? Do you know what it's like to be 7 years old and to be able to read at a higher level than your father? Do you know what that's like? Do you? And then to be told by your father that you're supposed to worship him and idolize him and he's supposed to be your hero. It's like, in what ways? You're a rude buffoon. And you can't read. And so you're putting all these books down in front of me that glorify reading. And you're letting me read about all these historical fantasy characters, not even modern fantasy characters. We're talking first grade, so we're talking King Arthur. And we're talking Merlin, and we're talking these highly literate knights. But I'm supposed to worship my father? I'm supposed to honor my father and mother? They're telling me at church. Well, what nice thing am I supposed to say about them? Because you understand that honor means to do things that represent them in a way that praises them. So it means speak highly of them when you get the opportunity, so filial piety. But it also means live your life in such a way that you represent them in a way that other people will praise them in your behavior. Oh, wow. You're so good at blank. Your parents must have done blank. You must have had good parents. How am I supposed to honor my father and mother? How am I so you want to talk about stolen glory, and you want to talk about my frustration with having my identity and having my accomplishments stolen from me by other people taking credit. My parents were taking credit for my straight A's in first grade, and it's like, you fucking didn't help. You fucking didn't help. So I've been micro-gigging my whole life. Because when you had allowances but didn't actually have to do your chores, if I wanted to kiss my girlfriend on the weekend, I had to wash the toilets and the house. I had to clean the bathrooms. And I didn't do it as often as I did do it, because fuck them, because they never said anything. There was never a, hey, good job. Hey, it's particularly clean. Hey, you've kept up with it without being had to be told to for X number of days, and I noticed that. Thank you. Like, none of that. Never. And it's like, I know where it comes from. I know where it comes from because you don't get it at work. And so, because you don't get it at work, and you were conditioned by school to get that, to get constant praise, to get your gold card and your gold star and your blah, 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 and your constant positive feedback. You just won't do anything without constant positive feedback. But what fucks me up, because you got to remember, I was a manager for corporations for 20 years. What fucks me up is you won't volunteer to do things to get the positive feedback. Okay, so I paused, I got the rest of the way ready, and here we go. I'm walking out of my tent. And I'm realizing that the idiomatic phrasing that I was looking for is volunteering to do things praiseworthy. Volunteering to do things praiseworthy. That doesn't necessarily mean doing things which are praiseworthy. It means doing things in a way that is praiseworthy. Going about your life in an honorable way. Because while I disagree with him, my friend Magic Shadow, and I talk about this from time to time, and while I disagree with him that we do not any longer live in an honor-bound or an honor-based society, we do still live in a society which has trappings of honor, which still knows how to honor certain individuals, sports and music, and I get lost in giving you examples, so I'm not going to do that. But see, it's not just the doing things in a manner which is praiseworthy, which is living in the Spirit of God, right? It's living in spirit with your ancestors. It's living in a way which is natural to you. Which is natural, rather. It's actually unnatural to human beings to live in a way which is praiseworthy. That's why I say, that's why I made that video. My knee, it's not actually a brace, but I got a little knee support from the Dollar Tree last night, and it's helping immensely. And not just the compression, but the extra heat on my knee out in this cold and stiff is actually keeping it from getting stiff, so my walk out here isn't so bad as the last few days have been. But it's just distracting, and that wind is just intense enough that I did forget what I was talking about. Because there are hierarchies of praiseworthy ways in which to live. What I was saying is, yes, because there are hierarchies of praiseworthy ways to live, it is unnatural for humans to live in a praiseworthy manner. That's why praise exists. Notice that it's spelled just like raise, because it's much the same thing. You're raising someone up for a moment to represent all of the good things that your civilization holds, or that your organization or you, the person offering praise, hold in high esteem, that you think highly of, right? And so it's unnatural to live in a praiseworthy way. The natural way to live is a way that we all know our mothers and our fathers and anyone who was a childhood caregiver told us not to behave. We know this. We know that the natural way to behave is to behave like an animal. We know this. We all know that whether we like to say that humans are by their natures good or by their natures evil, we know that human nature is to do what's easiest, what comes first, and to not think of the consequences. And so it's not only important to do what's praiseworthy, because doing what's praiseworthy is praiseworthy in its own right, but if your intention is to only get the praise, well, if you're doing a good job just for the praise, you're not really doing a good job. And you're not volunteering to do a good job. You're doing something esteemed as praiseworthy in an effort to get praise. And so the reason you're good at it isn't praiseworthy. So these two things have to line up. Your intentions and the thing that you do have to line up. And so if, for example, I've noticed that as a manager, I noticed that, oh, great, you've done a great job cleaning the bathroom for the last 5 days, but you've only done it. So I will say something. You're leveraging me into a position to say something, or otherwise you won't do it. I have to not say something because it's my responsibility to be the person with the leverage. And if you want to leverage the relationship in such a way that you get something extra out of me, or you don't do the thing that you're supposed to be doing anyway, I'll just wait until you don't do the thing you're supposed to be doing, and I'll replace you with somebody who will. And it's really that simple. But see, what happened is longevity science and the healthcare industry in general has kept people alive for too damn long. And the liberal humanities were right to be like, hey, well, maybe the Christians are right, and what we should do is we should do forgiveness. So when people, commit crimes, we don't just kill them for minor crimes, and when they make mistakes, we offer them forbearances, or we offer them multiple chances. Except the only people that the liberals give those second chances to are hard dollar, white collar, and terrorists, criminals who are what are they? I don't even know the names of these things because I hate to think about it. But terrorists. The only people that liberals seem to want to give forgiveness to and second chances to are terrorists and sex pests. Let's put it that way. And so that's a tongue-in-cheek, isn't even the right word. That's a totally ironic and self-unaware lie that we buy hook, line, and sinker. And I'm just so over that. I'm over that. And so, voluntary. It has to be voluntary. Voluntary, praiseworthy behavior. And it's so strange to me that nobody gets that. It's even stranger to me that people will tell me to be patient. It's like the winter's already almost over. What do you mean, be patient? You're showing up 4 months into my homelessness telling me to be patient? Be patient for what? You're not a buyer. You're not going to be a buyer. And that's these people who are never going to be buyers telling me how to get their money just pisses me off. You don't walk into a store and tell them how they could get you to buy the candy bar you were never going to buy. That doesn't make sense. You don't walk into the manufacturer, so you wouldn't walk into a Reese's plant and be like, I would buy those Reese's cups if That's just not how that works. That's not how R&D works. That's not how marketing works. That's not how the end user experience of any product works. That's not even how the comment section on YouTube works. Like, you come up to a YouTuber, like, I don't know why you think I'm not a YouTuber or whatever. I don't understand what's going on there. And I talk about this so much. What I wanted to say, because I'm at the bus stop and I'm trying to wrap up. I'm trying to hit everything I wanted to say and be done. What I wanted to say is that I felt close to God, and I felt like something bad was going to happen, and I woke up and I had lost a subscriber. So I spiked up to 83 and I'm back down to 81, and it's like, thank God. What I felt, what I saw when I saw that, what I felt when I saw that was thank God. Thank God. I just don't understand why it doesn't occur to you that you can volunteer your goodness, volunteer to be beneficial to me in some way, get the praise from me, receive the praise that I will trumpet out into the universe, and then put yourself in the comments so that other people can praise you too. I just don't, I just can't comprehend that. I cannot comprehend. You know that's the only reason people super like other channels. And so I don't understand why people that don't get it sub to me. Whatever. I gotta make about $30. So that's where my head's going, to make this money. I hope you found something useful in here. Volunteer your goodness. Oh yeah, no, I wasn't bragging. I remember what I did. A story I didn't finish. I wasn't bragging. I just slept with about 10 married women because it was super fucking easy. They just gave it away because they didn't care who was getting it. They just wanted literally anybody but their husband to give it to them. And I'm like, whatever. You just have no idea. I counted it out in the journal. 45 women just gave themselves to me. I didn't even ask for it. 45. It's a pretty big body count. But when it's that easy, why say no? Why would I say no? Why should I say no? I'm volunteering my goodness. I'm at least not going to treat you like you're a piece of shit. You are. We both think you are. But I'm not going to treat you like it. No, it doesn't compromise or stain me in any way. It's a reflection on them. It's only biologically natural for a man to... It's only biologically natural for someone like me to gamble. I got 50 women I rolled the dice on getting pregnant. If I want to have offspring, that's the only way somebody like me is likely to have them. But see, that you don't know that. I'm not allowed to talk about your ignorance. But you're ashamed of what you don't know. So how do you and I have a conversation about human biology and human evolution? You just unsub. You won't comment. You won't like it. So what's the point? What's the point on my end? Why? Why would I do that to myself? Why bother? Why put myself through it? But more importantly, why bother? Why bother with the inconvenience? Because this is hugely inconvenient to me. My hands are cold. I'm not making money right now. I could be grinding out a bunch of video games. I could be spending my battery more efficiently to make money. I don't understand why none of you gets that either. wild to me that not a single person, this whole time, it's wild to me that not a single person has been like, here, take a week off, here's $100, go get some good weed and just relax for a week. You've been homeless, you've been crushing it. Go get something hot to eat. Overload on trans fats and just relax. Maybe even get a beer. It's wild to me. Like, I knew rich people were greedy. But do you not want gratitude? Do you not want anybody to feel gratitude toward you? Because you understand that gratitude comes from the Latin gratis, and that gratis is the Latin word for free. So if you were giving away your bread for free, you would say, I have bread gratis. So gratitude is the feeling of being on the receiving end of voluntary, praiseworthy behavior. It's not my responsibility to articulate to you the hierarchy of praiseworthy behaviors. I did that reading, and you don't pay me. Pay me and I'll sit down and I'll figure it out. And I'll involve you in whether I got it right in a way that makes sense to you. Because I learned how to manage and how to coach. I tailor my teaching to the person I'm teaching. Because teaching to a mass audience, this whole idea that you can reach a general and mass audience in anything is stupid. Mass production of information is stupid. I won't do it. I won't participate. I will refuse, and I have that right. Because I am volunteering to do something praiseworthy. That's what you don't get, and so you withhold the praise. But that just makes you a vampire. It just makes you, the Grinch. Do you not know this stuff? These are your children's movies. I didn't watch this shit as a child. I watched it as a teenager because I knew that I missed it as a kid. So how did you not get these morals? You were the one raised to look for the moral in everything you watch. How did you miss it? And how did you not learn that behavior? What, you turned 13 and you just decided, everything I learned as a child didn't matter. How dumb are you? Like, seriously, how stupid are you? Because I always thought you were stupid as shit when I was a kid, and then I hit adulthood and I was like, well, everybody suffers in a different way, and so I'm going to be as high-minded about this as possible, and I'm going to help as many people as possible. But then I reach out to people for intellectual or even just friendly, stimulating conversation, and you're all just dumb as fuck. I can't believe you let the corporations win so easily. That's what gets me. You let them win so easy. Alright, I'm done. I've been Shaggy. I am Felalitea. You take care of yourself or don't. I don't care anymore. Like, I'm not giving you like a thank you for being here anymore. Be here or don't. Do something voluntary and praiseworthy in the comment section, and you'll get your praise. I'm not praising you for something that you haven't done yet.